So I'd like to welcome everyone to today's Coffee with Kendall. And we are going to have our summertime coffee together with Viking Cruises. So our goal today is to share some updates from Viking, learn about some new opportunities as we go into 2028. That is right. As of last week, Viking released itineraries for ocean into 2028. So while it does seem like a ways away, there is some good savings to be had the further you plan. And so I'm going to, there you
Can you
are.
hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi. Well,
Fantastic.
it's I'm yeah, I can't believe we're doing coffee in in 100-degree weather, but I love it.
Definitely. We're excited to have you and to hear all about Viking and what fantastic things are going on. You know, it's definitely one of our clients' favorites, whether it be on the river or the ocean. And so,
Got my coffee. I'm all set. I think you're in some of the greatest hands. I think again, Brandt Travel, I know for sure is one of our top supporters. They do a fantastic job with the communities they work with, and for folks that are still longtime Brandt guests, you're in great hands. They're a wealth of knowledge, whether it's Viking or any other opportunity that you're looking at with regard to travel. They certainly, they certainly can point you in the right direction as far as what the brand, trip, itinerary, or just overall, some tidbits, the actual destination. So yes, going back to the map, I mean, it's really the world of Viking. It's one Viking as we kind of move forward through just creating interesting itineraries throughout the world. And this is the culmination photo I was speaking of. And some of you have seen this, but I think we always have to come back to this. It's the ability to scale to, being the largest small ship operator in the world. So one more time, because I haven't had that much coffee, we are your largest small ship provider in the world. So whether you're sailing with us in the Inside Passage of Alaska or on the Rhine, Southern France cruise, or on an expedition cruise crossing the Drake Passage, it's going to look and feel very much like what you've been accustomed to seeing from Viking. And again, it's that consistency. It's the Viking standard. It's the ability to not have to relearn a completely different lifestyle brand, or even relearn a completely different the whether it's the cabin category or the ship. They kind of look and feel all the same. So that was kind of my point with the Viking Vesta. As you know, we've introduced new technology. When we utilize that technology with this, which is hydrogen driven, we're able to get down to zero emissions, because it is what Norway and being able to sail in the fjords, as well as in Iceland and Greenland, have talked about, as far as responsible energy and being able to get down to zero emissions. So we've done that. We've started that with two ships now, with the Vela and the Vesta, and you'll continue to see us deliver that experience. So again, one of our brand new ocean ships, our expedition ship here, the Viking Polaris, and one of our new river ships. So we're bringing over 2 decades of expertise to small ship experiences. And as I mentioned, we can't create any new oceans or any new rivers. So we're looking at kind of, putting together a lot of cruise land tours. And you may have seen that with our, as Kendall mentioned, we released, I believe 10 to 12 new itineraries. Are heavy focused on ocean. They do combine some, land experiences. They go well into 2028. I know that, many of us don't even know what we're doing next week, but yes, currently we have 25 for whatever's left for sale, right? There's still some last minute opportunities for folks that have tuned in for that. 26 is well on its way, as well as 27. And, for those of you that want to, live half a year on a ship, right, Kendall? I mean, we just released a world cruise opportunity into, several years from now. So I think, there's something really something for everyone. We have everything as short as 8 days, 7 nights to 120 days. With Expedition, we do everything from Milwaukee, Wisconsin to Santiago, Chile. We do like an 80-day itinerary through all the Great Lakes, down the eastern seaboard, into Central and South America, and around the Horn. So, but our focus hasn't left us, as we will christen our 100th ship this year. You heard that correct. If you've been a fan of Viking for quite some time, when we merely just had, 8 to 10 river ships on the Rhine and Danube, you heard me correct. We are going to christen our 100th ship this year. So, but it's still, again, business as usual. We're all about bringing folks into the destination, less time getting there, more time spent within the port of call. We certainly want to maximize your time within the destination, and we include something for you on a daily basis. So something's included for you on a daily basis where you can choose to participate or, again, decide to do your own thing, but you do have something, whether it's ocean, river, or expedition, included for you in every port of call. So we always try to overnight at embarkation and disembarkation, so you get to see the cities that you're coming into and see the cities that you're leaving from without having to spend additional time. So although I would love to have a post extension opportunity in Reykjavik, Iceland, so that's why I always recommend pre and post, because you just never know what may happen. So we like to call it travel happens. I think Kendall's in agreement with that. It's always nice to get there maybe a day or two early prior to sailing, just because you never know, right? You never know. In this case, it was rough seas in the Atlantic. We had to delay our Atlantic crossing over to Reykjavik, but we kind of, as Viking, scrambled, put together a full day, and were able to call on Belfast and offer a slew of included and optional tours and excursions. So we didn't just have 3 days at sea. We had those planned 2 days, but I think it may have been a little bit of mutiny if we would have had to spend 3 days at sea and also only see Reykjavik from the motor coach on the way to the airport. So anyway, doesn't always go correct, but I will say the ability to come in early and stay late, we offer a tremendous amount of opportunity to do so. And if it's a city or town or village that you want to visit that we don't offer, Brandt's there to kind of guide you through that process as far as trains, planes, and automobiles. So this is my flagship itinerary for those of you that, kind of seen this a couple times. I understand it's maybe a refresher, but I kind of wanted to kind of go delve into the Grand European Tour and a lot of what we offer. Cruise we offer is 8 days, 7 nights, and about 80% of the entire segment 80% of the entire segment is on the Rhine, Main, Danube. So we're talking about the Grand European Tour. It's a 15-day experience from Amsterdam to Budapest. We go in either direction, and we typically sail this through from April through early November, right? And then we kind of start the Christmas market season. So again, if you're considering a river cruise and you can be gone 2 weeks, this is a tremendous way to see Europe, where you are sailing within and through really the heart of these destinations, the heart of these cities. You're a stone's throw away from city centers. And, you're experiencing really, again, we're about 80% of the entire river segment has its inventory, has its product. And there's a reason for that. It really speaks to first-time cruisers. So for those of you that have never sailed on any type of cruise, and then for those that are looking to do a river cruise for the first time. So we do also split this up, right? We do 8 days, 7 nights with the Rhine Getaway, which is probably our most popular cruise throughout the entire company. So it's number one as far as deployments. And the Rhine will go from Amsterdam to Basel or Basel to Amsterdam. So it's that 8 days, 7 nights with your rolling castles. You experience the Netherlands, a part of France, Germany, and Switzerland. So that's 8 days, 7 nights. And then you have the other half of that, which is the Danube cruise, which is your Regensburg to Budapest, 8 days, 7 nights. So when you combine it all and you go through the Main-Danube Canal, which is, I know it doesn't sound exciting going through 42 locks, but there are some folks that specifically book the Grand European Tour just for that experience. But when you combine it with the Main-Danube Canal, you have this 2-week experience. So we offer extensions in Amsterdam. We offer them in Budapest. We also offer additional time in potentially Prague in the Czech Republic based on date and direction. But this is your 2-week experience. And we like to call it the granddaddy of them all. It's our flagship itinerary on rivers. And I would say there's about anywhere from 16 to 18 other itineraries that either touch part of this sailing. You have whether it's the Rhine Getaway, the variations of the Danube cruises, even your Paris and your Swiss Alps. I mean, you have so many itineraries that touch a part of this itinerary. So it's good to know how we do things and how we don't. We overnight in Amsterdam, we overnight in Budapest, and we also have a 2 full day experience in Vienna where we overnight in Vienna and we maximize your time in Vienna. So those are kind of the big, I guess, highlights and things to point out with regard to the Grand European Tour. You also have the Romantic Danube, as I mentioned. It's probably our flagship 8-day, 7-night Danube cruise. We do have other Danube opportunities and itineraries, but this is, for you folks that have never done a Danube cruise, this is kind of where you're looking first and foremost. So Budapest to Regensburg or Regensburg to Budapest, we go in either direction. We still overnight in Vienna and experience that Wachau Valley. Of course, quaint towns in Germany like Regensburg, into Austria, and then, of course, the Pearl of the Danube, which is Budapest. So we do get to see both sides of Budapest on all of our itineraries. We're docked typically about a stone's throw away from the Chains Bridge, but we are on the Pest side. But we do take folks into Old Town. We take them into the Castle District, Fisherman's Bastion, all of that great stuff on the Buda side, but we're actually docked on the Pest side, and you get to see both sides of the city. So still, a brisk walk of, maybe 15, 20 minutes from the great market there in Budapest, but definitely manageable from where we dock in that great city. So we offer pre and post, kind of a slew of them here on this itinerary in Prague, in Munich, even in somewhere like Salzburg and even Budapest as well. So pre or post based on date and direction. And what you've seen from us and what we've really introduced is, going forward, and you'll see a lot of this from Viking, is cruise land tours. So what that means is that we have hotel experiences already built into the itinerary. And I would say Portugal and Egypt are our number one cruise land tours. They're definitely the ones that have been in the product line the longest and also the most established and some of the most hottest destinations, even outside of river cruising. Of course, river cruising is a fantastic way to see these itineraries, sail on the Douro River, for example, on the Portugal's River of Gold. It is 10 days. We start in Lisbon in a hotel, and then we're going to motor coach up to Porto, and then we're going to sail round trip Porto. So you do have some opportunity to go into the Galicias part of Spain by going into Santiago. We also include Salamanca, which is kind of a university town, a lot of historical value there. So it's a wonderful itinerary. Again, start in Lisbon, include Lisbon in a hotel, motor coach, embark in Porto, and disembark in Porto, and we sail that beautiful Douro River. So what we've done at Viking is, we have long ships, which are typically on your southern France itineraries. They're on your Rhine, your Danube. They're 190 guests is the maximum occupancy. And then we just have purpose-built vessels for, say, the Seine River, which does, your Paris in the heart of Normandy and does northern France. Or we have the Douro River ships that are purpose-built for the Douro. These are more shallow, narrow rivers, even much less passenger count or guest count than 190. So you're at 160, 140. You're at 82 guests when I show you the Nile cruises with Egypt. So again, purpose-built vessels for the rivers that we're sailing on, whether it's the Elba, the Douro, the Nile. We have equipped those vessels to sail the most comfortably we can on those bodies of water. So this is, again, one of our most popular itineraries with regard to cruise land tours. And again, you're going to see a lot of cruise land tours, even with train experiences. We understand that folks that like to river cruise, maybe like to pack and unpack no more than once, you know, they don't mind having to pack and unpack more than once if they're getting, like, say, on a train experience, or they're extending in an included hotel experience. So you're going to see that a lot from Viking. We've even incorporated safari experiences on ocean. Again, 8 days, 7 nights we do in southern France. I think that it's probably my favorite itinerary in France. I mean, it's kind of hard to choose of the three or four, but I really love the Rhone and the Saône. You have your Gallo-Roman ruins, over the top food and wine destinations. So we do pre or post opportunities in Paris and also in Nice, but the actual sailing is on the Rhone and the Saône from Lyon to Avignon, or Avignon to Lyon. So keep that in mind. We also do Bordeaux, which is just to the west of this itinerary. We do a round trip Bordeaux experience, 8 days, 7 nights in the Bordeaux region, starting in the city of Bordeaux, and that's your chateau, rivers, and wine. So Lyon d'Avignon, coming back to this itinerary, this is kind of where you embark, disembark, your ports of call. Again, quaint, essential, small town living there in southern France. You really get to know the people. If you ever hear someone say, "I don't like France, French are rude," XYZ experience in Paris, you have to come to southern France. You have to experience southern France. It's nothing but love. It's nothing but embracing the history and the culture that's there, and of course everything that the Romans brought from their conquest in this area is twofold. So there's a lot of historical value, and it is, I've always loved to say, your real France, your real France opportunity. Of course, we won't forget Paris in the heart of Normandy, probably one of our top itineraries last year because of the Olympics, and because of the big anniversary with D-Day. So it still remains one of our top itineraries. So we do round trip Paris, 8 days, 7 nights. We are docked within 300 to 400 feet from the Eiffel Tower. I'm saying 300 to 400 yards. I apologize. And so we maximize your time in city center there in Paris. You're near all the sites. You can maximize your time there with your overnight in Paris at embarkation and disembarkation. But really, the meat and potatoes is sailing, up the Seine, experiencing that 3/4 day out at the Normandy beaches, and experience Omaha Gold and Juno, as well as the U.S. military cemetery. So, you have also the museum there, your D-Day June 6th museum as well. So it is a full day. Of course, also the Monet Gardens based on when you sail, but it's a jam-packed itinerary on our Seine class ships, which again are a little bit smaller than 190 guests and allow us to dock that close to the Eiffel Tower. So if you watch any of the Olympic coverage, you would have seen that this is where Viking is docked. So it was kind of a little bit of exhausting. I think I was getting multiple calls a day as far as, friends and family and folks that, know I work for Viking, letting me know that, our ship was on TV yet again on the Olympic coverage. So we are, of course, proud to do that and be docked where we are. And it gives us the ability to, again, maximize your time in a city like Paris, where traffic can certainly be something that we have to consider. If any of you remember, we used to dock quite a distance outside of there when we didn't have our Seine class ships. So we were docked, about 45 minutes with moderate traffic away from, say, like the Eiffel Tower. So this is the runaway winner for us last year. This is our #1 rated itinerary for 2024, and it just continues to do so well. It's our cruise land tour, Pharaohs and Pyramids, 12 days, fully guided with an Egyptologist, round trip Cairo experience. So we start in a hotel, and then we go over to Luxor and we embark on the on the ship. So we'll sail here, as you can see. Round trip, we sail all the way, even down to Aswan, which I'll show you. But then, we do some round trip air, intra-Egypt air in Cairo. So Of course, we have suspended the Jerusalem Israel pre-extension. It was always a pre, so we're offering as an alternate for folks that don't want to go that far and merely just land and then have a full day in Cairo the next day. We have extra time in Cairo that can be taken that opportunity can be had, or also Istanbul in Turkey, which has done extremely well. If you've never been there, what a fascinating city that is. And then as a post extension, always Petra and Jordan there. So that's always a post extension and really remains probably one of our top three post extensions on anything that we offer at Viking. So the river ship's really excited. I think we're on schedule to deliver 10 here by no later than 2030. So we're already, I think, selling into 6, potentially very soon here into 7. It's just so sometimes really hard to keep all the numbers together, Kendall. I can't even imagine. I mean, I'm only one supplier, and of course, represent a couple, and sometimes land motor coach stuff, and it's a lot. So just with us, it's a lot. So it is our goal to have 10 river ships on the Nile. Of course, that may sound like a lot, but you're talking about 41 staterooms. It looks and feels like your Viking ship. It's just a smaller version. So 41 staterooms, 82 guests. Really proud to say that we continue to deliver probably one of the most diverse country-wise and ethnicity-wise on the ships. But I think a key win for us here in Egypt is we are the first, and I think we're one of the only folks that actually have women working on the ship. So we're really proud of that. Again, that was a long time coming. It was kind of part of the agreement. Again, first ship to have women working on board for Viking, and then also first, one of the first of many suppliers, I think, that just have a multicultural, just represented. I mean, I think we're at about 95 or 98 countries now represented company wide. So you still will feel that same warmth, that same family, that same welcome home that you do, say, again, on the Rhine, on the Danube, on one of our ocean cruises, one of our expedition sailings. You'll still feel that here in Egypt. And it's nice to say that, we're the first to have women on board greeting our guests. So, again, with Viking, it's that relentless pursuit of unreasonable hospitality. And I know that may sound like a little negative, but, we understand that travel happens. We're not perfect. 98.3% of our mutual guests have said we've either met or exceeded their expectations. So it's a very high customer satisfaction rating with Viking. But in all fairness, small ship cruising in itself is the highest reviewed segment of travel. So the likeliness of you going on a small ship experience and having a really, really great time and coming back and telling your friends and your family about it is very likely. And you sailing within the next 1 to 3 years on another small ship experience is extremely likely as well. So as I go through some of these, you may say, wow, these look like I'm on the Rhine. I'm on the Danube, or I'm on an ocean cabin. That's exactly right. I mean, you still have that, again, exploring the world in comfort tagline in mind with Viking. So regardless of where you are, it's going to look and feel. We're going to deliver that Scandinavian decor with a touch of Norwegian folkloric decor throughout, floor to ceiling glass window panes. We still want to offer true 2-room suites because we understand that folks sometimes require that. So we still will have a true 2-room suite capability in Egypt. So as you see here, you have a separate bedroom, separate living room lounge. You have your veranda suite living. So, there is a door that closes off the bedroom to the living area, and then your full sit-down veranda. So we're still able to deliver those true 2-room suites. And then, of course, your veranda stateroom, kind of what you've become accustomed to, whether it's European river cruising or even our ocean cabin. We've kind of modeled a lot around that 205 square foot cabin on our ocean vessels, and everything's kind of really played on that experience. Of course, Tut's not alone anymore. The new museum's open, so there's a lot of great reasons to visit. Cairo. I would certainly spend some additional days coming into Cairo, whether it's outside of the Viking program or within it. Again, Brandt can certainly help you through those decisions and paint a beautiful portrait to your Cairo experience. I think that flying this far and having to kind of be up and at 'em the next day in Cairo, into Giza, experiencing images like this, it would just be tough on anybody. It would be tough on anybody. So I know that we go out the gates really excited, but it's a long flight. It's a couple long flights to get there. So with that being said, always recommend additional time in Cairo. There's a lot to see and do there, whether it's the new museum, your full day with the Egyptologists, of course, going out to the Giza Plateau, the Sphinx. As we make our way over to Luxor, you're going to see your ruin, your temples, so forth, and then we'll sail right before we do that. We'll give you an opportunity to do a hot air balloon over the western part of the Nile there. So really fantastic experience. In fact, I had a colleague that retired at the end of last year, and this was the first trip out the gates that they did as their big retirement trip. And the pictures that I saw they just don't do any justice. So, and these are really professional photos done by our company White Rain, and just being on live, or even just being FaceTiming somebody that's there and experiencing this is just kind of over the top. So hopefully a couple of us get to do that. Of course, we sail all the way to Aswan. And yes, it truly looks like this. I mean, you're sailing with 82 of your closest friends. There's also no distractions on board. I mean, we've kind of still continued to keep and tout that line as far as we don't have any casinos. We don't have any art auctions. We don't have any photographers. We don't cater to anyone under the age of 18. So you have to be 18 or over to sail with Viking. So yeah, it's like no children, no casinos, no art auctions, no photographers. Of course, nobody's hanging from any ceilings or anything like that with regard to nightly entertainment. You have a culture curriculum. You have, resident historians. You have guest lectures. You have nightly entertainment with your Viking band. Of course, your guitarist, your chamber music. But for those of you that have sailed with us, I think it's very well done. I don't think anybody's not having fun or having enough entertainment, but we just kind of have eliminated the things that just don't fit with our lifestyle brand at Viking. We very much tout that we're the thinking person's cruise, and we kind of just like to stay in that realm and continue to deliver those carefully curated itineraries and kind of emulate that on board as well. I mean, you have a self-guided museum tour that you can go on just on board the vessels. And I'm speaking with regard to ocean. I mean, you have, each corridor is filled with pictures, art, and they all tell a story. And even that is self-guided with those images and art in the restaurants as well. So as I get to ocean, we are now celebrating our 10-year anniversary. We are at the point of, adding one ship every year, and have expanded our product line to include whether it's the Med or Northern Europe. We have over 35 itineraries that either start or end in North America. So don't rule us out if you want to go on an ocean cruise and you want to stay closer to home, because we have a tremendous amount of sailings that start or end in North America where you do not have to take a flight longer than 8 hours or more. So, and when you combine that with how much offerings we have with the Great Lakes now with Expedition, and then remember we sail on the Mississippi River, you have a lot of opportunity where you don't have to take a flight that's 8 hours or more. So again, very much of what you're accustomed to. Floor to ceiling glass window panes, natural colors throughout. It's a very comfortable setting. You have your living room, that 3-deck atrium where our chamber music will play. Again, many of you that have sailed with me, you've seen this ocean product. You kind of know what it looks and feels like. We're just going to continue to, continue to deliver this vessel in all of its glory. I mean, it continues to be able to get into ports of call that, we're under 1,000 guests. So you have like places like Monaco, for example, that have said ships can't come here unless there are 1,000 guests or below. So we've been very conscious of that. Even with the new ship, the new technology, with regard to energy, we're already getting ourselves in order for zero emissions that I thought were supposed to start this year, according to Norway, but I think they may have reneged because I think we're the only ones that did it. So we have 2 ships now that can get all the way down to zero emissions to be able to still sail within and through the fjords. But yeah, you have like this 2-story glass encased experience with the Explorer's Lounge, beautiful sitting areas, none more beautiful than the Winter Garden. Folks, if you didn't get to experience the Winter Garden in your last sailing because you thought we were having a private event every day, let me be the first to apologize to you. The Winter Garden is open every day. We do a formal tea time, from 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 based on your itinerary. But we do a formal tea time. These are teas that have been selected by a tea sommelier. There's somebody there to go over the teas of the world with you, the offerings. We have beautiful fresh scones, finger sandwiches. Either our guitarist with no vocals will play, or also our resident chamber music will play here in the Winter Garden. But we very rarely, open up the doors here that kind of lead to the main pool. So it always kind of, you enter the Winter Garden from the sides here, from the left or right. You see the Winter Garden here in the back of this photo, and it may look like it's a private event going on every day, but it's actually not. It doesn't cost you any additional. We don't have any nickel and diming type experiences where you do have something included for you on a daily basis. You have wine, beer, and soft drinks included at meals, at lunch and dinner. And then we don't have a corkage fee. So remember, we don't have a corkage fee. You're able to bring along anything you like from North America, enjoy it anywhere you like, and also provision as you go. So, and then access to the specialty restaurants. We have your chef's table, your Manfredi's, the World Cafe, 24/7 room service. Nothing like, there's no reservation fee. There's no additional monies for service or anything like that, for room service. All of that's already built into the price point. It's already included. So there's about $400 per couple per day built in to your sailing as far as added value. So some you may deem valuable, some you may not, whether, maybe you don't, drink wine or beer, but you value the bottled water in your stateroom and on your tours and excursions, replenished daily. You also have Wi-Fi, so you're not having to buy a Wi-Fi package, and it's always so maddening when you pay for Wi-Fi and it doesn't work. So anyway, so it's the fine art of detail. We feel that we've, kind of delivered an experience that's not a nickel and diamond experience. This is my favorite cabin on ocean. I love, of course, even your DVs, which are your deluxe verandas or penthouse verandas, but the penthouse junior suite just gives you the ability to have more room for entertainment. You have seating for 4. You still have that full sit-down veranda for 2. And it's also where we have our double vanities in the bathroom, right? So I love to always point out that we have heated floors, regardless of what cabin category or what product you're on with Viking. We have heated floors, and we have toiletry products that you can read, open, and they're color coded. So all great stuff, all things that we've kind of thought out for you all, whether it's the USB or US, your C plugs, or your 110 outlets at the vanity, or even bedside. We love the fact that we're able to deliver those things that feel a little bit more like home once you've had a full day ashore exploring. So we've kind of taken out all the guesswork, um, which leads me to China. I think, you know, look, China is something that I think we're going to continue to do. We kind of came out with it late last year. We are still offering it this year. Still some space, still some opportunity to go to China. I think, I won't spend too much time on this, but it's just a tremendous amount of value. We're not sailing on the Yangtze River like some of you may have experienced with Viking in the past, where we sailed on the Yangtze River. We're doing still cruise land experiences. So we still go to Beijing, we go to Xi'an, we go to Shanghai, but we're doing coastal China cruising with a Viking Ocean vessel. So, and we've also incorporated quite a bit of itineraries with Japan, which still remains your number one destination in the world right now as far as tourism is concerned. So we have incorporated some Japan into going into, sailing from Hong Kong to Shanghai. And then I think one of the big notable things as far as land opportunities I'll show you is being able to go into Lhasa and go into Tibet, where, we I don't want to say we struggled with it when we did river cruising, but it was, sometimes a hit or a miss from a perspective of, acquiring the visas. Well, we're having great success now that we're doing these coastal cruises and being able to deliver that Tibet experience that into Lhasa. So, and that's probably the most popular 22-day new best of China and Tibet. So I'll show you that very quickly here. Again, you have some intra-China flights, just like when we did river on the Yangtze, but we do coastal cruising from Shanghai to Hong Kong on this itinerary, and then we do Beijing, Xi'an, and Lhasa in a hotel experience. And then there's so much itineraries. I'm already running out of time, right? So we try to keep this to 45 minutes, and then hopefully open it up to questions. But there are, like almost 16 different itineraries that incorporate China, Japan, and other parts of Southeast Asia as well. So 2-week experiences very quickly here. Most popular, Australia and New Zealand. Of course, 15-day. It can quickly become almost 3 weeks with pre and post opportunities in both Australia and New Zealand. Great thing about this is that you do get to see Sydney and south of Sydney and into Tasmania, and then also see both sides of the island there of New Zealand, both north and south. So really hard to see this much on your own unless you're doing a ton of packing and unpacking. And I know it looks very close on the map, but these countries are actually, about a like Auckland to Sydney or Sydney to Auckland is about a 5.5 hour flight. So you're covering quite a bit of ground. British Isles Explorer, number one 2-week experience I have right now. I don't know what it is, but it is something that we really can't keep on the shelf. So British Isles Explorer into Bergen already came out with dates here far into the future. If this is of interest, I would certainly recommend. It's because we don't have that many sailings of it. Because it's what we would call one of your transitional cruises as we go from Northern Europe into the Med or vice versa. But we spend 2 weeks in the British Isles and we do London to Bergen, and you can extend in, Bergen, you can extend in Oslo, which is a magnificent train ride that we include from Bergen to Oslo. And then of course, more time in London. What's not to love about that? So again, number one 2-week experience on the ocean. And then, during the quiet season, we do quite a bit, what we call the quiet season, which is into fall. So true fall on the Med all the way through early winter. Or for us, right, like around our last freeze here in Texas, we sail in the Med. Typically, the heart of what we do is in the quiet season all the way through about mid-February, late February. So crowds are down. Of course, temperatures are down. There's a tremendous amount of value. I know that some have expressed that, things may or may not be ideal weather-wise. The Med's also a little bit rougher as we go from the Adriatic into the Ionian Sea, through the Messina Strait and onto the Med. Those are all true. That's a check, check, check. But the price point, kind of dictates that. It's also, I think, crowd-wise, it's what we would call shoulder season. I got to go in early November and do this exact itinerary from Venice to Barcelona. And I have to tell you, it's some of the best experiences I've had in some of these major cities like Venice, like Rome, like Florence, and especially Barcelona. If you've ever been to any of these cities during, say, right now, June, July, early August, it's chaotic. Not saying that you shouldn't do it, but it's warmer weather and a lot more people. And we have found that our folks have a much better experience when there are fewer people. Hence why we deliver only small ship experiences. And finally, of course, the Octanus and the Polaris, like nothing we've ever done. I want to highlight the Arctic because we're finally going into the Arctic. I know those were big plans for us to do. So we not only just go into the Great Lakes now, which is everything through all 5 Great Lakes, and also, of course, into the peninsula of Antarctica. We're also calling on the Arctic. And, a lot of that has to do with the willingness of Greenland and Greenland just being really, really popular right now, along with its, somewhat close neighbor, Iceland, right? So we're doing quite a bit. We're doing longer itineraries. I know this might just be out of the question for some right now, but this is truly our most popular Arctic experience right now. 27-day itinerary. It actually takes me two full slides to show you the entire itinerary. But some of the highlights, of course, are sailing out of Toronto and back from Greenland. We are doing those private charter flights from Nuuk to Newark. So we do have that ability. But this is what it looks like if you're more of a visual individual. So you're definitely all the way up into the Arctic Circle. You're experiencing a lot of what that has to offer, as well as Greenland, Newfoundland, all the way through the St. Lawrence area where you go into the bay and the river there. And, we could sail all the way into, Lake Ontario. So, and we also sail out of Toronto. Our most popular expedition sailing, in fact, is from Toronto to Milwaukee. It's an 8-day, 7-night experience through the Welland Canal, sailing right by the Niagara Falls, and starting or ending in Toronto and Milwaukee. So that is make no question. There's no question that is our number one expedition sailing. This is our number one Arctic sailing, and it is a long one. It's 27 days, but you do have your Canadian Discovery. You have 13-day opportunities. You have 1-week opportunities, and you have 87-day plus sailings with Expedition. So Expedition is so special. It's just under 380 guests. 380 guests. And so you have 378 to be exact. They're identical sister ships. They are Polar Class 6 ships made to withstand some of the roughest water in the world, hence the Arctic and also the Drake Passage, sailing from the tip of South America there in Ushuaia. We do not have a flyover option with Viking. If you're going to experience the peninsula of Antarctica with us, you will be sailing through the Drake Passage there and coming back. So with that being said, we are right at the largest we can be to be within the guidelines of the environmental impact and so forth, but also not too small to, not be able to handle 25 to 30 to 35 foot swells in the event that happens in the Drake Passage, or we get rough waters in the Arctic. So it is a fit to travel product. I can't tell you enough about it. I think it's like nothing we've ever done. Kudos to those of you that are on the call that have done an expedition sailing. Really, really cool toys, whether they're the submersibles, the Zodiacs, the kayaks, the ribs. There's a lot of things to see and do to participate in off the ship. And then for those of you, because we know Expedition, half the cabin doesn't want to be there. And I don't joke about that. I'm being sincere that half the cabin has said, I'm only going because he or she's making me go on this expedition sailing. So we've made the ship really interesting as well. You have scientists on board that will allow you to participate in a lot of the research that they are conducting. They're publishing white papers. I mean, again, I always say this when I speak to this group and other groups. I mean, we discovered a whole new penguin colony down south within the last year. So we are, again, scientific research with regard to weather patterns, wildlife. Just so much is being done and funded. Everybody that goes on an expedition sailing with Viking, a portion of your ticket goes to funding that research. So we have amazing partnerships with some of the top programs around the world, whether it's Cambridge or NOAA. I mean, you name it. I mean, you have these folks have access to conduct the research they need to on board, and they're willing to share it to anybody that wants to participate in that expedition area and that expedition central area of the ship. And it's just kind of it's almost like a one group project that starts when you get on, and I don't think ends when you get off, because it's just continuous learning, and it's kind of who we speak to. So whether it's the resident historians or the guest lecturers and also the scientists, there's a tremendous amount of things to do and involve yourself on board. If you never, quote unquote, ever want to get off the ship, or you don't care about ice time, remember, you're only there because he or she made you be there. So you're going to enjoy the ship. And I think it is one of the most comfortable and ideal vessels to be able to experience that. And I would say the level of the puzzle game on expedition is like I've never seen before. I mean, I remember getting on in Charleston, and the ship started in Milwaukee. So they were, I think, I don't know, I mean, maybe 10 days, 8 days into their sailing. And this group had completed not just a couple, but a handful or more of your very large, puzzle sizes, right? Like 5,000 piece, 6,000 piece, 10,000 piece puzzles. And I was like, just blown away. I know that's not what you want to hear. Like, for some of you that are like, hey, I want live entertainment, I want music, I want maybe a casino. We don't have any of that on board your expedition product. You have the aula, where we feature, where you'll get your daily briefing. It's where we have our lectures. It's a flex space that becomes an indoor-outdoor space into the Finza Terrace. But it really, truly is, it's the best learning facility at sea. I'd be happy to say that. But you just don't have what you have on ocean on expedition. So, and for those of you that have been on expedition, you can kind of nod your head and agree with me. It's very much more focused on where you're sailing, what we're learning, what we're seeing from a wildlife perspective, and even launching a weather balloon on a cruise basis. Every cruise we launch a weather balloon. So again, it's participation in a different way. And I don't want to say by any means is it boring, but it's certainly not for everyone, especially if you are looking for more of a nightlife experience. So just keep that in mind. Again, really quick, and I'll wrap this up. Sorry I've gone so long, Kendall. A lot to share. Probably could still talk for another 30 minutes, but I promise I won't. 8-day, 7-night variations, Thunder Bay to Milwaukee. Folks, take a look. If you're looking at the Great Lakes, look at Toronto to Milwaukee. I know that sounds quirky, but it really is our number one itinerary with regard to expedition. Sailing right by the Niagara Falls, going into cities that I think we feel that we've done a tremendous amount of building up the port of call there. Like Detroit, I mean, the Henry Ford Museum is just getting spectacular reviews. I mean, you even get to see JFK's limousine, and just a way of life that doesn't exist anymore, with no cars, just buggies, right, and golf carts on a place like Mackinac Island. So if you've never been there, or you're from the Midwest, man, kudos to you all, because it has really been a hidden gem for our expedition experience. So it's just a lovely place to see when we're there in between the seasons of the Arctic and calling on the peninsula of Antarctica. And with that, I will turn it back over to Kendall. I don't know if we have.
You gave us a lot of new information, kind of, the number of ships that we're continuing to build, adding more land
Yeah.
options for extending. When you take those long flights, having the ability to be in the destination longer and see some of those areas that you may not be able to see via river or ocean, just to add on to your trip. That's been a really big focus of a lot of our guests. So I think before we take a couple questions, I just want to share the next step. So, for you joining us today, the exciting news about planning your next Viking cruise with Brandt Travel. So, you've got to remember one thing to say when you call in or send us a message. You need to say, I love Viking. And that is going to trigger the team to know that this door has opened to you for some great incentives for your next cruise. So, new bookings for attending today until the 20th, you have 2 weeks. You will receive $200 off your cruise. So, the bottom barrel price with all sales and promotions, you're going to get $200 off. Plus, we're going to give you a $300 onboard credit that you can use in advance towards optional excursions. You can pay your gratuities with it, buy a beverage package, all of those great things. So all you simply have to say within 2 weeks' time is I love Viking, and that will be available to you. Also, this month for August, if you are a past Viking guest, the anniversary sale opens extra savings to you. So for being a past guest of Viking, usually you receive a past guest discount. Well, this month you will receive a double past guest discount. So that's all applicable to the information that I just shared. So it's a really good time for you to consider planning your next trip. And if you already have a Viking booked, then we can get you an even better final payment date than what you would typically have. So talk to the team, let us get all of that set up for you. We'll place everything on hold, give you time to review it, ask all your questions, and then we'll proceed and you can celebrate because you'll be well on your way to planning your next trip. So if you do have a question for us, you're welcome to either unmute yourself and shout away, or you can place it in the chat feature on the box. And again, if you times of constraint, we always have access to Eric, and of course, the team is well versed in all things Viking as well. So they're usually at our disposal to answer anything that you may have. So someone is asking for our information. We are Brandt Travel. You can access us on the website, which is Brandt, BRANDT hyphen travel.com. And they asked for our phone number. So our phone number is 703-715-2910. So again, we look forward to planning your next Viking trip. Eric, we thank you again so much for spending time with us. And I think bye for now.